Amen. Praise the Lord. Welcome to Joshua Grace Ministry. This portion is entitled Elders Corner. Amen. I'm bringing forth hopefully a timely Father's Day message to all the young fathers out there, and even to my son. Amen. I want to just take this opportunity to be grateful for our children. I want to encourage you to be grateful for your children. I mean, it doesn't matter if you don't have to spend a lot of time with your child. Well, it does matter, but God is able to bridge the gap between you and your son. And I want to just encourage those fathers out there right now who, for whatever reason, can't seem to spend as much time as they want to with their children. Maybe they have some issues with the children's mother and not able to resolve them, and it's affecting their relationship with their children. I mean, that seems to be a case in a lot of single fathers, or divorced fathers who want to spend time with their children, who desire to spend time with their children, but not able to because of the immaturity of the children's mother. Amen. And I speak this from experience. Amen. Praise God. I want to encourage those young men to hang in there. Keep doing all that you can do, and know that God is there with you to resolve. He said in Malachi, He will bring the children's heart back to the fathers, and He will bring the father's heart back to the children. Amen. And so I want to encourage you to know that God is in the midst. No matter how it looks, no matter how you feel, don't be too hard on yourself. You may not be in a position to affect change in your children's lives in the way that you deem necessary, the way that you feel like you should. Sometimes you can even feel like you are, I wouldn't say deadbeat dad, but I would say you can feel like you're not making a difference, because it seems like, the influence of the mother and the mother's family have more influence over you, over your children. So, but I want to encourage you today to let you know that God is still in the midst. God is still watching over you and strengthening you and bridging the gap between you and your children. He is the ultimate peacemaker. Amen. Hallelujah. So I want to encourage you today, this Father's Day, and speak on an experience. I never had a father in my life, so I wanted to give my son something that I never had. And that is a father present in his life. And I've been in his life since the day he was born. Hallelujah. And I thank God. I mean, there has been times that I felt like I wasn't appreciated, especially when I went through my divorce with my son's mother. It wasn't a peaceful divorce. It was a negative divorce, mostly on her part, but not saying I didn't have a part to play in, but the larger part was played out by her. Without going into details, I'm pretty sure if you've been through a nasty divorce, you know what I'm talking about. And there were times where I had to make a decision to not deal with my son because his mother was so difficult, and she was, pardon the expression, she was hell-bent on seeing me put in prison. And so I left my son from the age of, I think, we divorced when my son was 3. So I left my son from the age of 3 to 5. I think it was like 2 years, 3 to 5. I had to make a conscious decision that, and believe me, this was the hard decision because I wanted to be there with him like I supposed to have been. But his mother was making such a, like I said, she was hell bent on seeing me put in prison. Um, and so she was doing things that was contradictory. And I'm talking about falling, false domestic violence reports, going to court, lying through her teeth. I mean, really making up stuff to the point where uh, I had to stay away from her because she would create this negative environment to try to put me in prison. I mean, she would actually call the police and make up lies, and really was hell bent on trying to get me put in prison. And so I had to realize, I had to make the decision that, okay, well, I'm just gonna have to wait 2 years and not see my son from the age of 3 to 5. And hopefully she would have, God would have been in her heart. She'd been able to walk in forgiveness. And he did. After the 2 year period, I was able to see my son. And he was so young, he didn't miss, he didn't miss I don't think he missed me a lot. But sometimes fathers will have to make those tough decisions to look out for self first. Because the first law of nature is self-preservation. And if you're in a situation where your baby mama is being very negative, and then you have to look out for yourself, because if you can't be there for your son or your daughter if you're locked up, especially through no fault of your own. So that's a tough decision for anybody to have to make. And but I want to encourage you that it gets better. Just continue to trust God, believe in God. It gets better. I mean, there's some things in my life with my son that I have to make up for. And some things that not quite right the way I want it to be. I want a better relationship with my son. Like I said, I've been there for the time he was conceived until he's 16 now, so he'll be 17 this year. But there are areas in my life where, since I didn't live with my son's mother, after he was conceived, I think we lived together maybe 2 years. Like I said, we divorced, and after 2 years we divorced. And so I wasn't in the household, so I didn't have a bigger influence upon him. He was mostly influenced by his mother and his other siblings. And that kind of hurt because, I wanted a bigger impact in his life. And I'm dealing with all these challenges even now as a father trying to father a child that's rebellious. And I solicit your prayers too, because I pray every day, Lord. I want a better relationship with my son. I desire a better relationship with my son, but that's something that I can't force. And that's something that I hope maybe, and I pray that God will intervene. And I believe He will. I believe change is coming. But, I want to encourage you to never give up on your son. Because there was times that I could have walked out. I mean, when I came back in my son's life, there were times where there were times that I could have walked away. Like most fathers get frustrated and walk away and feel like, well, they have an excuse to walk away. But I never did. I never did. And I always believed that, even the little bit of my presence in his life will make a difference. It may not make a profound difference like I want to, but I just believe that even being in his life and having an opportunity to speak with him, to share life events with him, to know that I'm present, even if he doesn't always acknowledge that I'm present, but just to know that I am. That's more than what I had when I was when I grew up. My father technically, really, I don't even know my father. I never had a relationship with my father. I knew of him, but I didn't really know him. I only had like maybe one conversation with him, and that's when I was 3. No, actually, I was 9. And that confrontation led to a big family fight. and um, and it's still, my father passed away years ago, but there's still uh, some questions about uh, the legitimacy of my father being my father. But, I didn't want that for my son. So I want to applaud those fathers who are hanging in there and doing what they can to make a difference, even if sometimes they feel like you're not making a difference. And sometimes, even being a father, man, the lessons that you teach may not always, they might not always appreciate it then and there, but as they grow older, uh, things will start coming back to God will start bringing things back to their memory, and things will start clicking, and then your impressions and your examples will make a difference. They'll start seeing, your influence. They'll start appreciating it as they grow older. They might not do it now, but as they grow older and become adults themselves, or maybe even have children themselves, they'll be able to see it. So don't give up. It's not in vain. Your efforts to father your child, it's not in vain. Don't let the enemy try to steal that away from you. Because believe me, I felt like that quite often. You know, and I used to tell my son's mother that I used to say, well, I don't really have to be here because you technically kicked me out of my house and kicked me out of my life, the life of my child, and you do everything to undermine everything that I do. So why am I even trying to make a difference in his life? And I could have took that route. I could have took that route and been justified within myself. But that's not what I wanted to do. That's not what God led me to do. And so I want to encourage those brothers who are going through that situation. Just hang in there. It's gonna get better. Amen. So this is just a Father's Day message to those who are feeling kind of left out, kind of discouraged. I want to encourage you to hang in there and trust God to bring it all together because He will. Amen. Happy Father's Day to you, and God bless you.